Hey everyone, in today's video I'm going to show you how you can make this cool cyberpunk looking animation inside After Effects. Let's get to it. Okay, so I'm going to start off with downloading JSplacement. It's a completely free app. It's available on Windows and Mac and Linux. So you can get your Windows. I'm on Windows, so you download your Windows version and then you'll run it and it will bring you up to this screen here. So this will help us create our textures that we're going to use to create our cool looking renders. You click this button in the top left and it brings you a menu of different type of looks available, and we're going to go with dot grid. These create 8K maps, so they're really high quality and high resolution, and if you just keep clicking, it will just create a different map, and you can just mess around with these sliders here. You can create anything you want, so you don't have to follow what I'm doing, but I'm just going to create a few dots and say save height, and then you save them to your location. I've got a folder where I keep all my JSplacements, so I'm just going to hit save, click again, maybe change a few settings, hit save height again, and you want to create a few. Let's go with something like that. Save height, save. We're going to go back up here, and this time we're going to go to classic, and we're going to press on presets, and we're going to press not dot grid. And this gives us a similar look, but it gives us a few more of these little elements here, which are quite cool. Again, if I just click, it'll create a new one. So I'll do save height. And change the iterations. You want to keep it like that. That's decent. I'll save that one. Hit randomize, it will give you a different look. So we don't want to do that. I want to stick with, not grid. Again, here you can just tweak the settings you want. So let's try a few more of these shapes. Maybe change the scale. That looks a bit funky, but I like it. So save around 6 to 8 different images. Once we're done, we're going to load them into After Effects. So I'm just going to load these maps into After Effects by just dragging and dropping them into my project panel here. And I've got a new comp, HD comp here. Here are the settings. It's standard HD, 24 frames, just 10 seconds long. I'm going to start by building out a simple design. So I'm going to first start off with a classic layer and drag and drop and bring it into the middle. And press S and scale that down to something about here. I like the look of. But I need to fill up the whole screen. So I could either duplicate and just move these across and select screen. That's one way to do it. It doesn't really matter how it looks. But the way I'm going to do it is just by making, first of all, make sure it's on screen. Maybe I shouldn't use that. CC. Wrap it out and just expand on the right and expand on the left. This gives us a full image. Now I'm going to add a CC toner. Double click and it applies it, and I'm going to select a pen tone. I'm going to go with a couple of colors that I know work. So I start with a red, yellow, probably like a sky blue. So we've got some funky, glitchy, techie looking colors now. Well, that color's not techie, so let's make it, something like that. Looks cool. There's no right or wrong color to use here. It's just whatever you like the look of. For this one, I'm just going to use an almost black. So even as a design, that looks pretty cool, but let's build upon it and make it even better. I'm going to go with a dot, drag and drop on top, and select screen, and make that smaller. So just loads of tiny dots in the background. And I'm just going to copy this toner and paste it on here. I'm just going to solo this layer so we can see it better. So this is giving us just 2 colors here. I'm happy with those colors. I'm going to bring in one more dot. Again, set it to screen. Press S, scale it a little bit bigger. So that's 20%. I'll set this to 40, and again I'll paste some dots in. But this time I want some funky looking colors. So how about like a green? Again, I'm going to solo this. So yeah, green and blue. That looks cool. So that's what our design looks like now. Very funky. And one more, I'm just going to go with a classic layer and drag that into the middle. Again, set it to screen. And I want to see like a square in the middle. Let's solo that. So look how small we've gotten, about 8%. These are really massive. And I'm just going to position this in the middle. And for this one, I kind of want it to be a single color. So let's go with tint this time and give it a very strong blue. And this is what our design looks like. So as itself, doesn't look too bad, but you know, we're here to make things look better. So I'm just going to right click here and add a new solid and change this color to something like almost black, but not really black. And we'll put that to the bottom. Not happy with this shape here. You can kind of see where the colors aren't merging. So I think that's that one there. Why is that? Let me just check. I think it's because this should be pure black, and that fixes that. So let's save this. Okay, so what I want to do now is create some cool camera angles and depth of field just to give this a little bit of dimension. So I want to make these all 3D layers and just offset them a little bit in 3D space. Probably make that closer to the camera. Okay. And I'm first of all going to show you 2 ways of creating depth. The first way is using an adjustment layer. And we're going to add a camera blur to this. But this blurs out everything. And what I want to do is basically blur out the top and bottom. So we almost create like a rack focus. So whatever in the middle is in focus. So to do that, we need to create a blur map. So we just bring in one of our solids and pull that there. In fact, actually, we might need a new solid for this one, and it needs to be 100% black. And then I'm going to add a fill to this. Double click and then change the color to white, and then grab a mask, rectangular mask, and just create a mask around here. And if I press F, we're going to feather this out. And how this works is whatever is white is going to be in focus, and whatever not white is going to be blurred. So we're just going to call this our blur map. And we can hide that and bring it to the bottom. We won't need that anymore. We click back to our adjustment layer and we go into blur map and we select our blur map. But we also make sure we select effects and masks. And we crank this up to about 15. But this is giving us the opposite of what I want. So we just need to go into this button here, press invert. And now that's given us a nice look. But I want a bit more of a gradual blur, so we just go into here and press F, and let's see if I can. What happens if I press 50? It's quite a sharp transition, or fade rather. So 200, looking better. 300, yeah, that's looking a bit nicer. Okay, so that's one way to blur it. The good advantage with this is it is quite quick. But the other way is with a After Effects camera. So I've right clicked again, I'm going to drop in a new camera. Make sure it's a 2-node camera and a preset of 50mm should do it. Press OK. I'm going to turn off this adjustment layer, so that will get rid of our blur. And if I press C, we can tilt our layer like this. And okay, but obviously that's looking a bit funky, so let's go for a different angle. But now we're seeing all of this. Why is that? I don't know. Let's have a look why. Guessing this should be set to black and not. Yeah, that's looking better. But we're getting, we can see the edge here because we've pushed out, but I don't want to scale up, so we just need to expand this out a little bit more. And this one and this one. Probably the left side I need to go way more, but I'm just going to nudge this to the right. And I'm holding shift, I like scaled UC sliders here. Okay, that's looking cool. Let's see if this works. This might not work because I don't often use this method, but I just wanted to see if we can try it anyway. Select 200, select 200. So that's given us a nice depth of field. It's focusing here. I want our focus to be here. So I'm pressing S again to C again, rather, to get a bit of a more extreme angle. And let's try our focal distance. So you can see the distance is shifting. It's now in the middle here. And I'm just going to press C and just move this across here. So that's one way to do it. I don't really like this method, so let's literally get rid of that and do the method I do like. Okay, so I'm happy with that look, but there is one way, an isometric look I do want to show. So we're just going to create a new camera again. And this time I'm going to select a new null. And I'm going to parent the camera to the null and make sure this null is a 3D object. And press R and make sure you input these values exact. So for the X, make sure you do 45. For the Y, it must be 35.264 precisely. And then for the Z, we press 30. This gives us a perfect isometric view. And that looks quite cool as a camera angle. And let's make this bigger here so we don't see that. And just going to tweak. So I'm just going to turn all these off and play with them one by one. And what we can do here is just press C and just zoom in. And press C again, reposition, and I don't want this empty black space. Let's try another method. Let's duplicate and drag this down here, duplicate and drag this up here, and then duplicate and drag this here, and then cool. So that's one look. I'm gonna hide the null. And the other thing I want to do now is show you, let's try, I'm just going to experiment really, I'm just going to wing things. I'm going to add in a mirror and select the reflection center to be in the middle, so we just have to do divided by 2. So this is a cool look now. I'm liking this. Let's see what else we can do. Add some glow. Let's crank up that radius. Yeah, I mean, that's looking sweet. And I might push that glow above the lens blur so the glow gets blurred. And yeah, let's save that. So I'm happy with how this is looking. Okay, so that's one design. Let's try another. I'm going to turn off this camera. So, I mean, that's looking really cool now because we've got that mirror mode. Let's just enable our layers so I know what's what. Okay, so I've just enabled my layers so I know what's what. As a design, that's looking really cool. So we've got this camera and that gives us the isometric view. So let's create a new camera and try another view. And that's fine. I'm just going to turn off our effects layer here. And because we made these 3D layers, we can just pan across and give it a little bit of depth here and drag this across here. And now I'm going to turn our effects layer back on. And now we've got this cool look here in the middle. I'm just going to position it a little bit more and angle it like that. And let's see if I can move these across. No, that's not really what I'm after here. I'm going to move them all across. There we go. So now we can do some animation on this because we've got a cool look here. Let's try positioning. Just a 2-second animation. I'll set a keyframe on my position here. I'm just gonna pan the camera up. And then while I'm doing that, I'm gonna select all of these. In fact, I'm gonna select all and parent them to this layer, press P, select position, and set a keyframe so they just move across. And I'll RAM preview that and see how that looks. Okay, so I think that's moving too fast, so I'm gonna animate that. That's fine. I think I want to give this one a bit of movement. Let's scale this one up, see how that looks. And I'll preview this at half resolution. So that's giving us a nice, really cool look here. But I think it might be a bit better to offset these. Or maybe just change the depth of them. So because they're pairing to this layer, I can just offset them. Let's see how that looks. So all I'm doing now is just doing some trial and error and seeing what works well. There is no formula to this, it's just messing around and seeing how it looks for you. So this one, I really think that should be over here. Right, so we have one look here. I think that's looking pretty neat. If we turn the camera off and switch it to our isometric camera, let's call this ISO cam. Right, so that's how you create two different looks. So we've got an isometric look here, and then we've got our animated look here. Okay, so that's the end of the tutorial. If If you've made it this far, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and have learned something. If you have, please consider leaving a like, and if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel because I'll be dropping more After Effects tutorials in the upcoming weeks and days. So keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, if you've got any questions regarding this tutorial, leave a comment below and I will answer it as soon as possible. And yep, in the meantime, stay safe and see you next time. Bye.